Hello, good evening, everyone. I am so glad that you're here and that you made it through another week. I'm pretty happy that I did that myself, just on my list of accomplishments every Wednesday. Um, but yeah, I am so glad to be back here this evening talking about overcoming overwhelm. And this week's episode, I wanted to talk about values and balances. So how do we create balance in our lives? Sometimes when we feel like we're out of balance, we can feel overwhelmed. And when we aren't connected, not only with ourselves and with our bodies, but if we don't know our values, our core personal values, it can be really tough to recenter ourselves and get out of that cycle of overwhelm. So the progress so far in these episodes is that we started a little bit with understanding what overwhelm feels like in our bodies, not necessarily what is causing our overwhelm, but what it feels like inside our bodies. That's where we get the control. There's things that are going on in the world and in our lives that we can't control. Where do we step in and be able to take back control? And so we started with how that feels in our bodies. And then we moved into understanding a little bit about the cycle of overwhelm and how to step out of that. As always, before I get started any further, I wanted to just do a little quick grounding exercise. And tonight I wanted to try something a little bit different. So every week I try to do a little different practice so that you have exposure to different grounding techniques. And what that can do is just for a moment shut out all of that stuff that's going on, all of the things that we brought here in our suitcases tonight. And let's just put that aside for just a moment and start to understand and bring our focus back into our bodies. What I wanted to do a little bit of, it's actually a yoga practice that is helpful with mindfulness, and it's yoga nidra. I'll put that in the chat box here, and you can Google it if you like. And it's really a practice of just becoming aware of your body and becoming aware of the sensations in your body. And so I wanted to start quickly with that. And if we could all just kind of like take a deep breath and sit up nice and tall in your seat. And you can close your eyes, although you don't have to for this exercise. But what I'd like you to do is just take a deep breath, fill up your lungs with some beautiful fresh air, and a big exhale. And on the next inhale, what I'd like you to do is just pull your shoulders up to your ears like this. And then on the exhale, drop them down. And on the next inhale, I'd like you to hold them up there. And I'd like you to hold them up as much as you can, really tensing all your muscles in your shoulders, really feeling it pull in your back. An inhale and an exhale. And on an inhale again. And on this exhale, just let them relax. Feel that blood flow, feel that energy in your body. And now I'd like you to turn your focus, moving that energy from your shoulders down into your arms. And I'd like you to make fists with your hands. And on an inhale, as tight as you can, clench your hands. Don't clench your face, clench your hands. And exhale, keep them clenched. Inhale. And on the exhale, release your hands and just feel that energy flow into your hands. Now what I'd like you to do is take that energy, travel down your body into your legs, and I'd like you to squeeze your legs together as tight as you can, flexing all the muscles in your butt and your legs, feeling all of that. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And on the exhale, release. Release into your chair, wherever you're sitting. Feeling that energy now flow down into your legs. And now with your feet, I'd like you to scrunch up your toes, not your face like I am, but scrunch your toes up as tight as you can, really flexing all of those muscles in your feet. And keep going. On this inhale, and then on this exhale, just release and let them go. Oh, feeling that energy flowing into your body, all of that blood flowing into all of those tiny muscles in your feet. And now from your feet, let's travel back up to our legs, back up into our bodies, and we're going to actually go into our faces. And this is when you get to scrunch your face. And I'd like you to scrunch your face, around your eyes, all of those, things that we're told not to do. I want you to actually flex all of those muscles in your face and just make this craziest face that you can, feeling all these muscles here, feeling all these muscles here. And I want you to squish up your face as much as you can. Keep it squished up. And on the next exhale, I want you to relax your face. Just feel all of that energy. Relax all of those muscles. I'd like you to take another inhale, and then I'd like you to double relax those face muscles. Feel how good it feels. We walk around all day with our face all squished up sometimes. We don't even know it. We have all that beautiful energy now flowing through our bodies. Getting to all those tiny muscles that we don't always think about. And it's just a way of, just a practice, again, of shutting out the world for a moment and just really feeling any muscle you can flex for a moment. Try that practice and see how it works for you. So touching your face, did you know we touch our face 23 times an hour? I'm super hyper aware of that now. Anyways, what I wanted to do is today I wanted to talk, like I said, about values and balance. And I want to share, I'm really missing doing presentations on a whiteboard, but I wanted to share with you just a kind of a recap of what we've been doing and kind of where we're at here. So let's see if I can get this going for us. And what I'm going to do is just talk about quickly what we've done so far with Overwhelm and really understanding, like I said, we've talked about it in our bodies and what that looks like for sure. And then we've talked about as well, something's happened here. Oops. Oh my gosh, what is going on here? I can't seem to get you back. Anyways, that's not what I wanted to show you, I don't think. But here we go. That's not working out so great. But anyways, when I talk about this idea is this cycle of overwhelm that we have, and it starts with usually we become overwhelmed when we have a trigger, and we talked about this last week. Then from a trigger, we lead into a cycle of what we feel about what's happened or what we think about what's happened. And then from there, we go into a response. So some type of action that then can feed back into probably another trigger. And then we keep into this cycle of overwhelm. And one of the key areas to kind of break into that cycle of overwhelm is to hit this cycle right before the trigger. And if we can break into this cycle of overwhelm before we hit the trigger, then we start to form a new habit so that we don't get into this cycle of overwhelm. We can also enter into this cycle of overwhelm by changing our thoughts or our feelings, because we're in control of that and we can do that. And then we can also audit our response and change our response to the overwhelm. However, it's the easiest thing to do is to be able to understand the trigger and to form a new habit. If we come into this cycle of overwhelm at any other part, it's not only more difficult, but it's also not forming a new habit. And it can then just keep cycling around, even though we're spending our time and our energy on changing our thoughts or feelings or our actions. So it's really the way that is most effective is to understand that trigger. And when we can understand the trigger, then we can understand what happens right before the trigger. And then that's where we kind of intercept that in this cycle of overwhelm. So once we have that, then maybe I can show you, you know what, technology, I don't care, I'm just talking. Oftentimes what can happen too is that we start to feel overwhelmed when we are not spending those precious resources that we have on in a way that we want to be spending it. Our three most precious resources are time, money, and energy. And when we're not spending our time like we want to be spending our time, it can contribute to overwhelm. When we are not spending our money like we want to be spending our money, it can contribute to overwhelm. And same with our energy. When we're not focusing on those things that are important to us, then we can get into the cycle of overwhelm. So it's what I wanted to talk today about was understanding that our values can really contribute to breaking the cycle and getting out of overwhelm very quickly. I'm going to talk a little bit today about some information. I'm going to put it here in the chat box, and you can go to my website and pick up some workshop stuff. And all of the stuff that I'm talking about tonight is actually in my core values workbook that I have for my Uncovering Your Courageous Self program. So I wanted to share that with you. You can also click on this more information here button, and that will also take you, I hope, to the landing page where I have that information, and you can copy out or use the workbook however you would like to. So I know that we only have a half hour here tonight and we might not get through everything. So that workbook is yours to use. There's lots of great questions in there that can go through this whole process of understanding your core values and understanding what's important. That to me is essential to understanding how to overcome overwhelm. One of the things that I have learned in my journey is that I have participated in a number of core value exercises and a number of core value wheels, understanding what your values are, and things like that. And it gets really tricky. I even see this in my workshops when I taught workshops, is that when we're presented with a list of values and we say, okay, so pick the top like 5, 6, 7 things that are really important to you. And you can go through this whole exercise. And normally what can happen is that as a workshop participant, because I've done this myself, is that I picked values that I wish I had. So it's like, geez, I really want to value family. That's a value that I should have. Family's a great example. It's like I feel like that's how I was raised. Family's very important, so that should be on my value list. Right. Understanding is something that I wish I could value more. So I put that on my value list. And understanding what's going on inside you is deeper than that. It's more than just like, geez, I wish I had understanding on my value list. Geez, I wish I had communication. I value communication highly. So that should be on my list. Family, if I don't have family on my list, what are other people going to think? And we can, like, values sometimes come with these unexpected judgments that we have of ourselves or that we think that people have of us. And getting to the core of who you are and what you value is really essential. So to break this cycle and to understand, like, really who you are. For me, it's a foundation in what I teach, because it really sets you up in all kinds of areas. When you start talking about leaving your job or pursuing a new passion, when you talk about a relationship and what you want in a relationship, do you have what you want in a relationship? If you don't understand these core values, essentially, of who you are, then it's going to not work out very good for you. It's going to be a lot of work to find what's missing in those things that aren't a part of your beautiful life yet, if you don't have your own core values, not what society says, not what anybody else says. So in that workbook, okay, I'm going to try to share my screen one more time, I think. In that workbook is an exercise that really kind of, before you go and often pick your values from a value list and see what kind of rises up, it's, sometimes I wish I had a flip chart. So I'm hoping now you can see this. This is called, I've borrowed it actually from a beautiful woman called Katie Burton, and it's called the DASE model, D-A-S-E. And it helps us understand those things that bring joy and delight into our lives, and those things that we find frustrating or that make us not feel so great, sad. And once we can understand what those things are in our lives, then we can start to uncover what's really important to us and what those values would be before we go to a great big list of values to say, okay, well, this is what I hold dear. So Katie talks about this idea of really looking for things that DASE in your life, things that delight you. And this exercise is to actually divide your paper in 4 and just start to write down moments in your life where you were extremely delighted, when you witnessed an act of kindness or gratitude that stopped you dead in your tracks. What brings that kind of joy into your life? And start thinking about what you were doing, who you might have been with, and anything else that you feel might have contributed to that moment of delight. Find a couple of moments of delight and see if there's any, as you're writing them out, see if there's any themes that you might come across, any common people, any common places, anything like that. It can really help kind of refine what it is that brings delight into your life. And then do the same thing with anger. What happened to you in a time of when you were really angry, really frustrated or disgusted beyond belief? Like, I'm talking about like not just like I'm angry with what's going on in the world today. I'm talking about those things like you like are just beyond belief angry about. This can also show up in like things like that you get like certain ideals that you really get attached to. You know, when you get so passionate about like I'm right and the world is wrong or you're wrong or whoever you're communicating with, and you start to soapbox. What was that all about? Where did that passion come from? Where did that energy come from? What were you talking about? Who were you talking to? Right? Where you were just so determined that you were right, regardless of what anybody else had to say. And then think about the times that you were really, really sad. Those times of the big, I'm talking about that big sad, that's deep in your bones. When you feel really low, what was going on? Who were you with? And anything else that would have come up. And think about a few times, if you can, about those times that 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 brought that sadness on, and that really that sense of like helplessness, really. And then end this exercise with the E, with the ecstatic, and give that a try. Those peaks of exuberance and of well-being, like what makes you feel alive? What is it that just brings so much power into your life that you just feel like $1,000,000? And write out those times. What were you doing? Who were you with? And really start to take the time to work this model. And it can really start to flesh out for you those moments in your life where you were feeling this. It will start to start generating like what you hold of value inside of you, and not what you think, because we lead from here, not from here. What you feel your values are, not what you think your values are. And as you're doing this exercise, it's like just, look for, like I said, look for some themes, look for what happens to you when you feel those big feels. Like, what is going on with you when you have those really, really big emotions? And just pay attention to what was going on around you at those times. One of the things too that's also in my in my workbook is it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun to do, but it's consider your sense of who you are during those most passionate and satisfying moments, in a way that maybe it's a role that you play, or if can you identify it with an animal. And some of the examples that I have in the workbook are things like, are you naturally a hunter, or a tiger? Like, do you feel like that animal speaks to you the way that animal like is really hungry, and the way it prowls around? Can you really see like what it delights in? And can you resonate with an animal? It can really start to pull out some of those images and those ideas that like connect here. It doesn't have to make sense up here. It has to connect down here. That's what we're doing with this exercise, is understanding our feelings and really what's going on. So that's kind of really what I wanted to kind of start to talk about tonight. And I know like our time goes by so fast here, but feel free to have a look at that workbook. There's also other stuff on that page. It's other, we'll probably get to them all, so you don't have to worry about it, but you're certainly more than welcome to download anything that you find on that page by using the link. And yeah, I thought maybe sharing this. Maybe. Oh, here we go. No, I don't know. No, I don't know how to stop sharing. I'm going to make it smaller. Yeah, I don't know. I think that worked. Always new technology. I do like the Crowdcast platform. I thought I'd give it a try outside of Zoom. It is fun, and I am glad that that you guys made it here. I did want to quickly open it up. If anybody has any questions or anything like that, please feel free to pop it in the chat room. And I'm glad you guys are all here tonight. I do have a new program that I am starting, and I would like to put it out to you to see if anyone here is interested, because I feel like that the people who are coming here have a desire to grab hold of what's going on in their lives and really make a change. And I'm opening up my one-on-one practice to groups. And I started a group. I haven't run a group before, so I'm looking for some people who are interested in beta testing it. I'm not running a Facebook group. That's not what I do. I am rarely on Facebook. It's not my platform of choice. So I'm not there, but I did find a place called the Mighty Network that looks like a fantastic place to host a group. So if anyone is interested, please, I will leave my email here, and just drop me a note and say that you're interested in knowing more about my group. It is going to be around uncovering your courageous self, understanding blocks and obstacles that can throw us off course, and really understanding how fear shows up in our lives and how it can keep us from being who we really are. We can do all kinds of work on values and balance, and finding ways to stay grounded in our lives. But if we don't understand how fear shows up in our lives and how we can break into those habits, we don't know how we can break out of them, and how to really truly show up, and how to design your own beautiful life. So that's what my Uncover Your Courageous Self program is all about. And I'm looking for turning it into a group opportunity. So it will be super fun. I really like the Mighty Network. It has some great tools and places to get together in a group and really support one another too, because that's what it's all about. Community, connection, and showing up for ourselves and for one another. So if and that is about it. So thank you so much. You can follow my channel here on the Crowdcast. I forgot where I was for a second. From I can't talk and type. Who can talk and type? From Curiosity to Courage is the name of my channel. So you can find me on Crowdcast. Follow my channel, and when I post new events here on Crowdcast, you will get a beautiful notification to say, hey, Louise is doing something new and crazy. I also host one other live event. It's also on Wednesdays. It's coming up in half an hour. It's called From Hot Mess to Hell Yes, and it's a bizarrely podcast live event that I do with the amazing Melanie Williams. And we have a good time. We talk about all our hot messes and all of our hell yeses and how we're getting through all of this together. So you can pop on over there and check me out in a half an hour, or catch us on the replay, because there's tons of replayability, and that's what I love about Crowdcast. So yeah, I look forward to talking to you next week, same time, same place. I would like to say same topic, but it'll just be more about how we can all overcome overwhelm together. And yeah, so until then, take care. My virtual hug to you all. Be safe. Be safe. Thank you. Bye.